trying to play for EDG, but unfortunately still has those back injuries that are not allowing him to return to competitive play. So Scout has really stepped up as well, and these were the two players that came in for EDG this split that we had a lot of questions for, but they've answered every single one that we've thrown at them game after game.
I don't think anyone can dispute that Pawn has a higher skill ceiling than Mouse, or excuse me, than Scout. He certainly proved that on an international stage multiple times, but I do think that Scout fits better and works better with EDG.
It certainly seems like it did well in that first match for EDG, and now they have to do it again because they're heading back onto Summoner's Rift for game number 2 between EDG and Team WE. We're already in Champion Select for this one, and Rek'Sai has immediately been banned out by Team WE. They do not want Clear to pick up the champion. Lissandra and Vladimir will follow through as Shen and Gangplank are the first 2 bans from EDG.
This is actually really surprising that Team WE would ban Vladimir from blue side. It's actually a champion that CA debuted for the LPL. He was the first guy to get his hands on that Vladimir when Vladimir was overtuned. So to see him banned from blue side, it really opens up a question mark of what are they going to priority pick? Do they feel like Mystic has been tunneled, that they need to priority pick an AD carry because he's being denied so much? Or are they going to try to contest Clearlove's champion pool in the jungle?
It's also interesting because EDG have never played Vladimir this year. Not a single game on the champion. Not through Mouse, not through Scout, not through Pawn.
Has been banned a lot, although this would be another answer that didn't hit the ban list.
It certainly could be. For now, it was Irelia that did get banned out from EDG as their last ban.
So right now they're hovering between Talia and Tahm Kench. We saw a lot of success from Mako on Tahm Kench. I really like him in the meta. We can kind of go deeper into him if he does manage to go into this game. But what I think is interesting is that they may be afraid of a Malzahar pick. So yes, this is 6.15. Malzahar has been hit quite heavily, particularly on his passive, but Malzahar is one of the few champions outside of Victor that can kind of keep up with Talia's constant shove and wave control, and Tahm Kench is a perfect counter to Malzahar because anyone you lock down with Malza's ultimate, you just gobble up.
We'll have to see if either of those 2 champions see play here today. We saw Malzahar picked up quite a bit, especially by Newbie in their promotion and relegation matches last night. Talia was locked in for Team WE, so CL will be picking that one up in the mid lane, whereas EDG, they have locked in the Tahm Kench as well as Gnar for Mouse once again.
Still really prioritizing having a shoving top laner, so opening up the possibility that Clearlove could look towards a strong top side of the map to invade and contest Condi, as well as still having that semi-global presence on the Kench.
Now it's Team WE's turn to go for their next 2 picks. They did pick up Gragas last game, but that is still left up and available. Clearlove's go-to champion recently. He's the 2nd most played champion in the league. For now, though, they're still debating on what they should be picking up heading onto the Rift for Game 2. Talia has come in for Sia. He's played that. He has yet to play that, actually, in the regular split of the LPL. And it seems like it's been a denial pick coming away from both these teams so far. We're going to have to see what they decide to lock in next, which was the Karma as well as the Sivir. So, not going to be a flex pick Karma anymore. That should be a support, and Sivir will be their AD carry of choice.
Unfortunately, your stats are a bit outdated because CA did... I can see the confusion. You're like, I know he's played that.
I know he's played it.
CA did play that against Vici in the semifinals, so their last series, and to great success. Of course, in second rotation... Mystic does have to pick up the Sivir just because they don't want that to be denied by Deft again. But the difference between Mystic and Deft, and why Deft is still a cut above Mystic, is because he's able to play anything and be just as effective.
He certainly can. Well, we're still waiting to see what EDG are going to be picking up next. They've already locked in their support in their top lane, and not showing too much, but already a very similar team comp to what they picked up last game. They're looking to try and echo that heading into this next match. The respect bands that come out from Team WE as well. Taking away the Rek'Sai, taking away the Lissandra, identifying those were 2 key components. They got the ball rolling for EDG, but they instantly just lock in the Syndra as well as Jhin as their AD carry and their mid laner.
And we haven't seen a ton of Syndra in the LPL. It really came back with Wayless's debut back onto the roster for LGD. Although she's seen a lot of global play, is in a very healthy and strong spot, especially because, again, it's isolated lanes. We're back to standard style in 6.15, and Syndra really shines in just an isolated 1v1 matchup or 2v2 matchup if you include those junglers. I want to quickly touch on the other side for Team WE though. I like the fact that they've shored up their lane control weaknesses. So last time they had the Kassadin, they were really punished because they didn't have multiple wave clear sources, especially in that race for the inhib. This time around, Talia, an excellent wave pusher. Sivir, she's going to have full control of that lane, and then they can augment any side wave with Karma.
And Sivir Karma is something that we saw EDG pick up very frequently as their team comp of choice, trying to get as much movement speed as possible. Team WE do complete their team comp with the Echo once again, as well as the Gragas. So still sticking to those two key components of their team comp, which means EDG do have their jungle pick for last here for Clearlove. He's hovering over the Nidalee, but he does have Ghost as a summoner spell, so I do expect the Heck Room coming in here.
I'd be really curious to see what kind of shape Clearlove's Nidalee is in. The one weakness to Clearlove is that he actually doesn't pick up a lot of champions very quickly. He has played Nidalee in the past, but it's not his standout champion or his standout style. Nocturne is.
Definitely is.
I think it's going to be Kha'Zix.
He still has that Ghost, so that's got to be the Heck Room, Froscrin. Remember, the two teams can't see what each other's summoner spells are until they head into the loading screen, so they wouldn't know that he's hovering over that. Only we do.
It's a bit dangerous. So in EDG's current composition, they lose a lot of their pushing power. So again, the first game we saw something very standard come out of a lot of teams on 6.15. This time around, Kench and Jin should be in a bit of a sticky situation, especially between levels 2 and 5. They should just get shoved in by Sivir, although the level 1 can be very dangerous, and we all know that Deft and Mako really like to play that level 2 surprise kill.
Well, they certainly do. They did it last game with the Sivir and Tahm Kench, and they played it fantastically as well to pick up the kill, denying the crowd control from Alistar while going all in on towards the Ashe. However, we're getting into a new game. This time around, Mystic, he's picked up his Sivir. Deft is going on towards the Jhin, and things have been changed across Summoner's Rift heading onto this match.
At least this game should be a bit of a slower pace. EDG are much more reliant on their level 6 ultimates, like the Onslaught of Shadows, like the Jhin ultimate, before things can just start blowing up.
Well, let's see if they can use them effectively in this second match against Team WE of this Best of 5 series. And we're on to Summoner's Rift for game number 2 between Team WE and EDG. EDG picked up a very clinical and very decisive game number 1. This is the match, though, that Team WE, though, have to try and bounce back to try and pull it back in this Best of 5 series.
And game 1 was certainly a stomp in one side, and that was to EDG's favor. This time around, though, Champion Select has revealed a very different tempo and pace of the game already. EDG have nowhere near the level of control of their creep waves as they did in game 1.
Team WE, though, already in a sticky spot as Zero going to get caught out by Mako and Deft, but here's Deft taking a lot of damage, forced to flash early, exhaust used onto Mystic, but Scout putting down a lot of Dark Spears, has used the Ghost. Boomerang Blade comes out, a flash forward from CS, still chasing the Syndra. Will have no workaround to deal with, but doesn't need it because he gets a kill. They trade 1 for 1 for now. Zero will fall because Hackroom's joined the party as well. What's going on, Frostgrid? Notice that Talia just stuck trying to go toe-to-toe against Def. EDG going to pick up 3 kills, only trading the bottom lane 80 carry.
And was it worth it, Team WE? The answer is definitively no, and that's a very rare smile that we see from Clearlove because he knows that Team WE are now in deep trouble.
And I thought it was the AD carry that fell, but it wasn't. It was Scout that fell, being really aggressive on that Syndra. Picks up 2 assists for his troubles. You can already see Def immediately goes back to base, picks up a refillable potion and a pink ward for himself. But that is a chaotic start for Oscar, and something you can expect from EDG, not so much Team WE.
A big benefactor, though, is actually going to be Clearlove, is who I'm going to highlight, just because he is on that Hecarim. So we talked about how EDG, they sacrificed a lot of their wave control, which you can see Mystic and Zero actually really punishing Mako right now. But who that really impacts is their jungler. Hecarim typically has to kind of sit back, farm. He's trying to build a very expensive item from the jungle if he goes that Trinity Force route. And having that early pocket gold of being involved in those early kills will really help springboard him ahead of the clock.
Does mean, however, we won't see the early game aggression coming out from Deft as well as Maker on the Jim and the Tahm Kench. Something we saw from them in the first match, just because they got to lane a little bit later. Mystic and Zero trying to control this wave as much as possible to deny CS, as well as deny experience away from the Eddie carry and support.
We should be looking at the mid lane. Spectator, there you are.
Hello, Scout. He's going to go down. A good gank comes out from Condi in the mid lane. He picks up another kill.
And that was really just overzealous from Scout. Remember, Syndra in that level 1 scuffle burned both her summoner spells, which means that Condi has a free gank. He belly bops in, he flashes connect with the CC,
now
and
Clearlove. What are you doing? Just runs into a Talia, picks up 2 kills. Now he's the one with the laugh on his face.
Yeah, Shea will get the last laugh there as Talia is now in a perfect position. 3-1-0. So Team WE, was it worth it? Now it is.
Yep, now definitely is. What was Clearlove doing there, Frostcomb? Because I can understand Syndra getting ganked. I don't understand the Hecarim just dying for no reason.
You know, a ton of players really overlooked Talia's damage output, and we're going to see just how explosive it can be right here. So there was the CC lockdown that Condi provided, and Syndra just gets shredded. And likewise, Clearlove, he probably thought he could safely clear the wave, especially because he's behind tower. But A, Talia's reach, and B, her damage, especially burst damage, so many people undervalue and don't respect.
Now they're trying to put some pressure on towards Clearlove's red buff here. Echo's even down here as well. Going to show himself. Smite comes out. Clearlove's in trouble. Mouse tries to save his top laner. EDG might be able to turn this one around because the stun comes out from Scout as well. 957 in trouble. Has to flash over the wall. Mouse wants to follow but gets to hop onto Condi. Sia joining the party as well. Only has his Negatron cloak, so not as much damage, but still going to deal so much to Mouse. 957 goes back in. Clearlove trying to run away. What is going on? Because they're still chasing onto EDG's member. At the end of the day, it's still Team W that just pick up the red buff.
And frankly, EDG got lucky there. That was a fight that they should have not taken. As soon as CA showed up, that Talia is huge. There's no way that they can win any fight. And EDG are now being punished for not drafting strong controlling waves in their champion select, because CA is going to constantly shove Syndra in, and they're just going to run into Clearlove's jungle. And as Hecarim, he has very few early game answers.
He certainly does. Scout, he's only been able to pick up 2 Doran's rings for himself, but we saw Sia off the back of those 3 kills, went for a very early Negatron cloak. Not going to take any more damage in this mid lane from the Syndra, or at least reduce it a significant amount.
Team WE are put in a very similar situation that EDG had in Game 1, but they normally don't show the aggression or the teeth for this type of thing. Whereas EDG, they just kind of have to sit and hang on until level 6 and then try to make a play on the map with some of their global presence or their high mobility, either between Mako and Clearlove is who you're looking at. And they can either do that bottom, they can do that top, or they can do that mid. So Team WE, keep the pressure on. You have them on the ropes. Go for the kill.
Still, the gold lead is very small for Team WE, just about 300 gold in their favor, and all of the gold is currently tunneled on towards the Talia, who does have great early game burst, so it will be a rough ride for EDG in general.
She also has the experience lead and advantage on Scout, who's not running the double teleport this time, so the Weaver's Wall will come out earlier than Syndra can answer with the unleashed power.
As now Clearlove making his way towards the top side of the map. 957 is in trouble, will get locked down, and Mouse picks up a kill in the top lane.
And that just frankly shouldn't happen. Good job from Clearlove, heads up to know that he had the CC or the soft CC of the slow available to make that happen in the top side. And Mouse is now the saving grace for EDG in Game 2.
Pretty much, because that top side of the map was the only side of the map.
It's the only time or the only place that you can make a play, so you have to expect that something's going to happen there. 957 just overextended.
The only place where there was no chaos going on Summoner's Rift Frostgrin. They went to try and save the red buff steal, but didn't do anything there either. And now Mouse on this now. Going to have to try and see what he can do later on in this match, because he's the one with the lead for his team. But still, they have to fight up against Team WE's Talia. Sia in the mid lane is going to be a powerhouse.
Already has his MR built up, so negating a lot of the kill presence that Syndra would have at level 6. He has his ultimate available now, so global presence, an advantage to Team WE right now, especially because Mouse doesn't have his teleport.
Have to check in and see if they can use it effectively. For now, things have kind of calmed down for us, Kern. It was a chaotic ride to start things off. We don't normally see that from EDG. Normally, you know, they're very calm, they're very controlled. They take leads instead of scrapping and going for these chaotic team fights. Almost looked like IMA were playing right there.
When you stomp someone in the first game in about 27 minutes, I think you kind of ride in pretty high on that confidence into game 2.
It's like the solo queue effect where, you know, you were 19-0 on this hard carry and then go into the next game, you're playing a Kog'Maw like, yeah, I'm a beast still. And realize you don't have any items yet.
But the issue now is the fact that Scout gets that blue buff, completely uncontested. And it's because there's poor backtimers from Condi and CA. You know, they're not on the same page. They both have their level 6, so there was a clear level advantage. If they wanted to contest that, they could have. They can also go down bottom and gank Deft and Mako, who are overextended. So frankly, Team WE, they have these windows of opportunity where they could be punishing EDG. But again, they don't have the temperament for it. We don't expect that out of Team WE. And if you just let EDG get to these level 6 marks, which they now have, they will punish you.
And they're moving towards mid lane slowly, both Jin and Tahm Kench. They shoved out the bottom lane. Now we have to try and see if they can do anything with their map rotation. Mid lane, we did see Syndra go back to base, picked up a lost chapter for herself, matching the one that CS picked up as well on his Talia. But does have that Negatron cloak still, so when they go for the trade, there's going to be a lot of damage reduction that comes out in favor of Talia.
Just means that EDG have to be much cleaner on their execution if they want to have continued kill pressure on Talia.
But still, no map movements coming up just yet. It was just a look coming out from Deft and Mako. It gets diffused, and they head straight back down towards the bottom lane. Now it's going to be Condi looking for a gank on towards Scout in the mid lane. He's got very little places to run. Will get Seismic shoved back. Doesn't get knocked back immediately, but Condi reads it like a book and gets the kill. However, it's Klulov now trying to chase down the Gragas. One more auto attack. It's all he needs. He's looking for it. Not going to be able to get it, and Condi and Sia get another kill in this mid lane.
Phenomenal CC chain right there to pick up another kill on top of that. And meanwhile, bottom.
Deft in so much trouble. He gets exhausted, getting taken down. He's being dived under this turret. Team WE, they're hunting for the revenge in game number 2.
And they didn't pick it up on the blue buff, but they did contest in the mid lane. So Team WE showing that there is some bite left in them, and they will pick up the first blood tower gold and a massive swing of power.
That's going to be huge for Team WE, already 3,000 gold in the lead off of the back of these early game skirmishes. And suddenly, they look like the ones that are in firm control of this game.
Unfortunately for them, they're not getting the same RNG treatment in terms of the Dragon. Yes, 6.15 has seen some adjustments to Cloud Dragon, you know, bringing that guy kind of back into power, but it's not the triple Infernal start that EDG had in Game 1.
And it couldn't have been scripted better for us, Karen. If Team WE want revenge, no better way to do it in game number 2 after falling down horribly in game 1. And they're off to a great start. The question now is going to be, can they hold on to that? Because EDG, they're known to fight back from deficits as well.
If this is going to be a microcosm for World Elite and Edward Gaming's history, yes, you should get smashed in game 1 and then just slowly grind your way back into it. But right now, Team WE are still only second. So this is their defining moment. Win the semi-final, put down Edward Gaming, and rightfully take your place back on that throne.
Still a long road ahead of them. It is a best-of-5 series in this semi-final, so a few more matches for Team WE. EDG are up 1 match. As they might have caught out Mako here. Has his flash, uses it immediately to avoid the body slam, but suddenly Weaver's Wall going to be cutting him off. Doesn't go far enough. Sia would have wanted that to extend all the way towards the bottom lane outer turret, but doesn't quite get it there, so Team W use their ultimate and move straight towards the Dragon.
And really, the Dragon is just a consolation prize. It's not what they really came here for. It was, again, that pick on Mako and preferably pressure to take down the mid tower. But they'll take the table scraps that they're given.
EDG,
although with cooldowns down.
Ooh, they want to fight, but that's a big seismic shove on 3 people. Mako forced to use the grey health to keep himself alive. Def does get eaten up, but the time catch is destroyed, and Jin follows through. Team WE get another big team fight. They've already taken the Dragon for themselves as well.
Mouse is in the back line, though. See if he can do some damage.
He's got a flash available. Will hop over the wall to start things off, but now he's just running through the bottom side of the map, trying to see where he can go home.
I don't think you care about him. I think you just hold him down so he can't impact you later if you push through, but I like the call from Team WE right here. They should be focused on this mid turret.
And that's what Team WE moved towards. EDG losing multiple members again, and they lost the Dragon on top of that. Again, Sia with a big seismic shove on 3 people in that team fight. He is great on this Talia.
Showed it his expertise in the Vici Gaming series, although I like this call better from Team WE. They show up mid lane, see if they can get the inside track there. Nope, Scout sitting on Syndra. That's fine. We're going to beat you to the top lane. I see your Jhin. There's no way he can clear this wave faster than my Sivir. We're taking this whether you like it or not.
We see this a lot from teams that take down the first structure of the game. They immediately rotate their AD carry and support to whichever lane still has a standing turret, and that's going to be the top side of the map. Meanwhile, 957 and Mouse going toe-to-toe, but Condi's down here, forces the flash, coming out from the Nah. He's got nowhere to run anymore, goes into Mini. One more auto attack from 957 is all it takes, and they take down EDG's top laner.
So both these top laners getting punished in overextensions right there. That does mean that EDG have information that Condi's on the bottom side of the map, which does mean that Mystic and Zero, where they once were very aggressive and trying to chip away at this top tower, they suddenly have to be very respectful, knowing that Clearlove can be there and Condi cannot.
But EDG now in the position that Team WE were in last game, where the bottom lane AD carry and support are a level behind each other, and also now about 20 CS behind the Sivir. Jhin does have his BF sword and serrated Dirk very early on into the match. Sivir can't quite match it yet, but he does have the buy advantage for now.
Across the board, Edward Gaming are just hemorrhaging. They need to stop the bleeding, reset the map. That should have happened the first time, but good that Team WE are recognizing more opportunities where they can continue to punish Edward Gaming and continue to snowball their advantages. At
least Sia still eventually picks up that blue buff, denying it away from Syndra, who is already hurting in this lane. Is 30 CS behind, and it's a 5-1 Talia at the moment. Syndra's got no kills. At this point in the game, it just feels like you gotta hug your turret and sit back and relax for a while, because there's no way you're getting anywhere close towards that champion.
But even doing that is incredibly dangerous, because you're still across from a Talia who can change the terrain, lock out your team, and trap you on that tower. But more importantly, Condi on the Gragas can belly bop forward, throw that cask, and sweep you off the tower. They have so many tools to break deep freezes.
We can check in with the rest of the items being picked up by Team WE with their nice gold lead very early on to the match. It's 15 minutes in. They're already 4,000 gold up. Iceborne Gauntlet has been completed by 957. He's 2-1. Slightly behind in CS against Mouse, but it doesn't matter just yet. Even Condi's picked up his Runic Echo as a big spike for Gragas early on into the match. Abyssal Scepter was CS completed item, but EDG turn on the pressure. They want to fight after the red buff gets taken away. Condi is going to be the first casualty, or is he? Because he's running away again. Sia actually takes down the Hecarim to start things off. Condi's trying to juke away from the ultimate. Can't quite get there, but Scout gets cut off by the Weaver's Wall, giving Sia a double kill. Mako is knocked back into the rocks. A triple kill comes out for the Talia, and Sia has really put Team WE on his back.
And CA is going off this game. That is 4 dead for Edward Gaming, which means they can take their pick of anything they want. They took the red buff, they took the fight, and then they took the top tower.
And look at the damage dealt during that fight, Frosker. And this Talia is going off in this game. They take that top outer turret. She's going to be able to push through the mid lane outer turret as well. This is so different from what we usually see Team WE when they play League of Legends.
And the thing is Team WE have shown glimpses of their ability to do this, particularly when CA gets that snowball, when he starts getting ahead. But it's the consistency of being able to execute on that. When Team WE faced across from RNG in their last series, best of 3 before going into playoffs, they looked incredible. We said that is the second best team in the LPL. They deserve to crawl for that throne, and then they just kind of fell apart. You know, they lost that early game spark that we wanted to see from Team WE, that they needed to shore up. It's nice to see it return in Game 2, but will it return in Game 3, and Game 4, and possibly Game 5?
Well, that's the biggest question. Most of the time when we see the sparks of early game brilliance from Team WE is when Sia gets his hands on champions like Talia, like Twisted Fate.
Like Vladimir.
Champions that can move around the map quickly, be either really tanky, deal a lot of burst, or actually impact other lanes in a significant manner. And he's doing really well so far on this champion. Has the Morello Nomicon picked up as well. He's 8-1-2, Frosker, and we're only 16 minutes into this game as well. And
we're closing into that massive gold discrepancy between the teams. It's a very similar scenario, just reversed this time.
Yep. 7,000 gold lead for Team WE. a huge goal advantage at 16 minutes into the match. EDG looking to try and hold on. They're still team fighting every time they think they have the advantage, but the pure pressure that Team WE have from the early game advantage has just proved out to be too strong. Suddenly, Tom Kench now going to come in towards this pit. Tries to eat up the Sivir. Big Nar ultimate comes out. Zero. He's going to get taken down first. Condi is the next target. A double kill comes out for Dev. Suddenly, EDG have the numbers advantage. Sia is over the wall. Kurtikol gets popped. Lands the shots on towards 957. But EDG should still be happy because they get 2 picks and lose none of their team members.
But the key word there is picks, but hold on. Okay, he should back off. The key word there is picks. So Edward Gaming, yes, they're incredible at 5v5. Team WE, that's what they've built their careers on in the LPL this split, is their ability to fight late game. They're the Elder Drake team. However, Edward Gaming, for them to win here from the gold deficit, they can't just outfight them. They have to outmaneuver them. They have to find these 3v5 scenarios like they did. Use their semi-global presence with that Tom Kench. So we need more from Mako and less from CA if EDG want to have a hope here.
Pretty much, and even with those 2 picks, EDG can't fight for this Infernal Dragon. You said it was a Cloud Dragon that started things off, but an Infernal Dragon spawned second, and now Mako. He's been caught out of position, will get locked down by the Karma. Def has to run away from this Aaliyah. 957 chases him, gets the parallel conversion, stun, but moves back in to get the kill on towards Mako. The rest of Team WE can't chase any further forward, but they get the Dragon and a pick to follow up.
Diffuses a lot of map control and pressure that EDG are able to exert, not having Tom Kench A, alive on the field, and B, with his ultimate. So, Edward Gaming, I think you just need to take your losses, take that one on the chin, and step back. Although Clear Love, he's looking for a flank.
Let's see if he can get it, because Blue Buff has been contested again here by Sia. Does a lot of damage.
This is mine.
Yeah, puts Blue Buff on a leash,
This
pulls
is
him
still
back.
mine.
It's running away now, Fusker, and it's lost his patience. What are you... Okay. You do you, buddy.
I think he's lost.
You can't quite find Mummy here, Froskerin. Yeah, this is his new home. This is his place now. That's not the Wolves.
Can they hit it?
Oh, goodness sake.
Push it out. No, now I'm invested in that saga.
Oh, there he goes. He's going back in.
Did he
He's flashed
teleport?
back.
Did he run?
No, he flashed.
Oh.
He puts flash on D. It's a bad Blue Buff.
It's fine. In the end, Scout with his Blue Buff Walk of Shame manages to stall out long enough that he's able to take that one uncontested. Team WE, they just got bored. This isn't worth it.
Interesting interactions aside, it's still Syndra that gets the Blue Buff.
That's that moment where you walk over to Blue Bluff camp and you're like, where is this guy? I know he had a pretty crazy night last night. You look out on the lawn, he's just face forward.
He's in amongst the wolves, you know. He didn't like those guys, but now he's their best friend.
Exactly. Speaking of best friend, Harold has now dropped away, which means Baron will be taking up his pit. That should be where both these teams turn their attention, especially because the Dragon is down on the bottom side of the map. Yep. After Team WE use this creep wave to get some chip damage, or possibly the tower.
They almost get a pick on towards Mouse as well. The seismic shove barely connecting. As Team WE look to try and push through onto that turret. They don't get it yet, but they do get the chip damage you were mentioning.
It's now about picking up their vision. So the reason why Team WE want to make a play down there is if you check out EDG's blue side jungle, that is lit up. There's a lot of money in there. And they want to use that money because otherwise they got to expend more of it to move it to the other side of the map around that Baron pit. They're also in a very confident situation that EDG are so far behind right now that even if they did turn on Baron with Team WE being bottom, with Sivir and Karma, they'd be able to get there and stop them in time before EDG would do any damage.
However, Team WE take down the bottom lane inner turret during this time. So even more objective control coming out for them to start this game off. They're now moving towards the top side of the map.
Gotta pick up that vision. Sorry, boys, gotta expend some more money. But it's cool, because you took down the tower, so now you have the money to pay.
EDG grouping up as much as possible towards the top side of the pit. They know that Baron is a definite possibility, especially since Team WE have snowballed so far ahead 20 minutes into the game. But Team WE, in classic Team WE style, making sure that they take things as slow and steady as they possibly can.
It's not just taking it slow and steady, it's understanding where their break points are and where they're strong. So right now, they've been very proactive on the map when CA is involved. But at this point, Talia actually doesn't have a great late game. She has an incredibly strong mid game as well as early game, but any champion that doesn't have a damaging ultimate will eventually fall off. So the baton is being passed to Sivir in this case. And right now, Mystic is, what, 2,000 gold about away from his Infinity Edge, that big last break point. So if you're going to look at the Baron, either you're going to get an opportunity to sneak it and burn it, or sit back, farm up Sivir, and then go into that possible 5v5 knowing that you have the advantage.
Still a huge power spike once Mystic can pick up the Infinity Edge. He's still sitting on 2 items, whereas Jhin is unfortunately sitting on 1. Just the Duskblade and the components of his Youmuu's Ghostblade next, or possibly the more Malmortius.
See if they can get a pick here.
Team W, though, just clearing up wards around the red buff side of Edward Gaming's jungle, making sure they have good vision control over towards this Baron pit so they can burst it down if they choose to rotate towards it. Dragon, though, will be spawning in a minute 20, and Team W can pressure another objective. EDG, though, they just look to try and farm wherever they can. They know they can't fight anymore. They know that every fight that they go head-on against Team W is not going to go in their favor.
They need a pick. So again, all eyes on Clearlove, all eyes on Mako. They have great pick opportunity on their composition. We've seen it kind of displayed once with the Syndra Jhin combination.
But you have to see it since. Still 14-7 in kills, 4 turrets to none. EDG really struggling in this game. It's a Cloud Dragon and an Infernal Dragon that has been picked up by Team WE.
I just have this fear that Team WE are going to have some false hope, false confidence, maybe draw this one out a little bit later than intended, try to take a late game 5v5, and yes, they have a great composition for it, but no one's better than Edward Gaming at late game fights.
They've pulled the trigger on towards this Baron. The Trinket Ward was used, so they know this has been started. Half health already. Condi is the son of Baron. He should be able to secure this one as Curtain Call does come out. They're trying to teleport for this one. Weaver's Wall cancels the Curtain Call. They're going into the pit. There goes Clearlove. He can't get the steal. Condi picks up the Baron for his team. They've already lost the support though, and Mouse is going in. He's almost mega. Mystic's going to get taken down. Sia's trying to take down the Nub, but he runs for the heals and gets back to safety. Now Condi on the wrong side of the map, incredibly low on his Gragas, is trying to run away. The rest of EDG collapsing. Flash forward from Death. Throws the bouncing grenade. Duskblade of Drakthar pops, as well as the trap being put down by Jhin to pick up another kill. They get the Baron, but they lose 3 members from Team WE.
And even though Team WE do get the Baron, I'm going to give that as a big advantage over to EDG. So Baron does survive on some key members, particularly CA in that mid lane for Team WE. And if they can translate that Baron into structures, it will be worth, but right now I don't think they have the option. We're going to take a look at this replay. Cool thing was is that the Talia ultimate used the displacement, bumped Jhin out of the way, stopped his ultimate, but at this point, Team WE, they invested way too much in the Baron. It acted as the 6th man for Edward Gaming and made sure that this fight was uneven from the start. We talked about this. Just wait for Sivir to get the Infinity Edge. There's no reason to try to force that unless you can think you can burn it fast enough, and they were punished very heavily there.
However, that's a few dead people on the side of EDG. Frostgrin.
Yeah.
During that entire time, there was a small little screen on the bottom left-hand side of the screen that I was looking at where EDG decided they wanted to fight for this next dragon. You can see how that one worked.
I feel like this is a mistake over Baron, followed by a mistake over Dragon. And in the end, what EDG managing to slow down by killing a lot of those Baron members is completely thrown out the window by losing so many key members and so much key wave clear to save their inhibitor.
Exactly that, and now they are 11,000 gold behind Team WE, just 25 minutes into this game.
They could have just sat back, just let them have the Baron, continue to farm.
It was all doomed as soon as Blue Buff gave up his real estate, Frostgrin.
Here we go.
Gone from there. And it was that team fight.
Walk us through it, Fish.
Def getting jumped on immediately by 957 here. He's going to get singled out, and it's just the rest of EDG meeting a Talia. And that's all they wrote. Scout even tries to go back in, immediately exhausted by Zero as well. Can't do anything.
Yeah, and stuck between a rock and a hard place because he had Infernal Dragon on his left and then he had Talia on his right. So the exhaust was just the icing on the cake, as that's the 2nd Infernal Drake for Team WE, and it counts a lot at 26 minutes, especially for how far ahead of the clock they are.
And you can see RNG was not on Team WE's side to start things off, but now it's going to be the 3rd Infernal Drake that spawns next for this team. They mightn't even need it because they already have the Baron buff. They've already broken EDG's base, and they are 11,000 gold up.
Yeah, and what looked really good for Edward Gaming in Game number 1 has completely diffused. They are so far behind, looking for a miracle if they want to try to come back in game number 2, although we've seen some miracle comebacks on the global stage rather recently.
Yep, we've even seen some here as well. Looking at you, Newbie and Starhunt Royal Club. Not sure who came back into that game, but someone did.
Just a rally, just throwing the ball back and forth.
That's what I said to Raz. He didn't understand. I was actually heartbroken.
Guy's not watching the Olympics.
Whew.
So Team WE now looking towards the last standing inner turret, which is going to be that top side, which means they need to move in underneath Mystic, set down this triangle vision. Does open up opportunity for EDG to find more picks, but they have to be very careful. Again, like Fish said, they can't look for a full line of scrimmage fight because they will lose to that gold deficit. It's about 10k, about 11k actually now.
Mm-hmm. And they're looking to try and siege up this top lane inner turret. No Baron buff available for Team WE anymore. So they're going to be able to push this one through nicely and take down another structure for themselves. So no outer turrets left for EDG. They just have to defend the base. That's all they can really rely on anymore. Even that, they still have super minions crashing on towards the mid lane. So it's just the side waves that Team WE are looking to try and crash on towards. Weaver's Wall comes out. Mouse turns into Mini Nun. Suddenly there's 4 members of Team WE in this bottom lane. They get a pick onto EDG's top laner. And now they're pushing towards the bottom lane inhibitor turret.
Wrong place, wrong time. Edward Gaming have fallen apart at every single turn. Team WE in full control and looking to tank game 2. They just need to close it out here.
Well, they're marching in towards the base. 957's in front. Curtain Call gets popped by Def, trying to see if he can get some damage down or at least wave clear for his team. But smart tanking from 957 stops that play.
But they can be patient. They've got the super wave waiting for them in the mid lane, which is what ClearLove is trying to deal with now. Wait for the next wave, maybe send 957 or Mystic over there to deal and get mid pushing in and just slowly suffocate EDG out of this.
Well, they've marched in. Mouse will come back up shortly, but they've already done the damage. Bottom lane inhibitor will fall. Team WE have taken 2 down now.
Which means now with that Baron spawning in 147, Team WE can back off, reset the map, pick up all of that global gold, or spend all of that global gold that they've just acquired by taking down, what, 2 to 3 towers in their last big push. Wait for the next Baron, take that one out, and return to clean this out.
On top of that, Mystic's already picked up his Affinity Edge, so the big 3-item power spike for Sivir has been completed. You add the 2 Infernal Dragons to that, and the Ricochets are going to hurt a ton.
People will explode in the back line.
Pretty much. And Sia, who has propelled himself incredibly far ahead, 9-1-5, 270 CS on this Taliyah. He's 1 item away from completing his build. That is a monster of a mid laner.
Have to think that this champion will not end up in his hands again. Edward Gaming banned it in game number 1 from blue side. Looked over it in game number 2, choosing to take down Aurelia.
And these are 2 teams that do know the power of Taliyah in the mid lane. They've both played it in their last sets. EG played it in the last match of the regular split with a win against Snake. And it was played twice against Vici in the best of 5 series from Team WE. Both of them were victories as well.
Champions with ultimates that have lower cooldowns than teleport to compensate for not taking a double teleport and then allowing them to pick up a extra power summoner spell in that slot. So this time around the Ghost. We've seen a lot of teams using it globally. It's going to continue to be abused, so Taliyah should look to be a high priority pick or ban for the remainder of not just this series, but the playoffs if any of the earlier games are indicative.
It certainly should. As Baron buff comes up in 5 seconds here. Team WE already inside of the pit, looking to take control of that. Possibly deny vision and try and catch someone out. They found Mako. He's the first target. They force a flash away from it. Weaver's Wall comes out from the Taliyah, just separates the team. That is the go button for Team WE to start off this Baron.
ClearLove is going all the way around the wall, and I agreed with you that they should have been the go button because they could have zoned Edward Gaming off, but you're right, they choose not to. And now they have a big key ultimate not available to them. Instead, they're trying to play with their pressure point on the bottom lane with 957.
Yep, if I was here, I'd be mad.
Yeah.
I just used my ultimate for you guys. Do something! And now it seems like they have. They've started to move towards the Baron pit. But again, just trying to deny vision and catch someone out. Mako falls for it once again. He burned his flash the first time. Doesn't have enough for the second attempt. and gets taken down trying to ward the pit.
Popped like a balloon. And I think this speaks to Team WE's respect to Clearlove and Edward Gaming. The fact that even though they had the Weaver's Wall, it would delay Clearlove's approach to the pit. They just say, no, let's take them completely out and make sure that we have this 100%. With Clearlove being bot side, it means go time for Team WE on Baron.
957's trying to run away from EDG. Curticall gets used. He's trying to sidestep the bullets, but gets hit by 2 and will get taken down in towards his Guardian Angel. This entire time, though, Baron has been taken down. They will get a kill on towards Team WE's top laner, but 50 seconds later, and teleport available means he'll get back into the fight nice and quick.
And table scraps, because that means that there's still 4 Barons still available for Team WE, as well as the possibility of triple Infernal at 32 minutes in this game.
They've already started this one up. It is going to get taken down incredibly quickly. Triple Infernal Dragon and a Baron buff for Team WE. 32 minutes in the game, they have 13,000 gold ahead of EDG, looking strong and looking to try and finish this one out.
So Team WE still kind of staying true to their style. They're finishing the game around that 35-minute mark when they really turn it on. But the asterisk here is that they needed to take control of the early game. Can they consistently do that throughout this series? Both these teams are incredibly intelligent. We see a lot of adaptation in draft. Team WE, drafting so much wave clear after they were punished in game 1, not having it. You have to expect that Edward Gaming are not going to let this happen again.
You definitely would have to expect that. For now, though, they're just looking to close this one out, Frosco. And EDG really feels like you have to think, okay, we've got one final team fight here. If that doesn't work, we just have to look towards this next game, because they were very dominant in game 1. They've been picked apart in Champions League game number 2 and even in the game of game number 2.
Keep morale high. Keep morale high. Team WE are incredibly good at one thing, and it's this on your screen. Playing champions like Sivir, like Gragas. They're kind of the staples. But if you take that away from them, they don't have the same flexibility or versatility that Edward Gaming have, which is why EDG are the #1 team in the LPL right now. So EDG, go back to the drawing board, try to make Team WE beat you with something else, because they've never been tested like that before.
For now, though, it will be the mid lane inhibitor that does get taken down. Team WE pick it up. So it's 2 inhibitors down for EDG, Baron buff, and 3 Infernal Dragons are going to be marching on towards that and final inhibitor on the top side of the map. It's really the point where EDG have to make their last stand, have to try and make something happen with the help of their turret.
The miracle fight. Clearlove possibly looking for a flank, open up the Jhin ultimate, throw the Syndra Cone, and just see what you come up with.
Oh, here's a Weaver's Wall from Sia. Just separates the team.
Deft.
Deft, what are you doing there, buddy? Has his flash available. Just pops his vertical. Gets jumped on by Condi. Uses his flash to get away. Mouse gone into the back lines. Gets a good Gnar ult off, but he's getting melted incredibly quickly. Mako has to be the one that saves him. Deft still left untouched, trying to wreak havoc in the back lines. Kills 957 to start things off. Sia gonna get locked down. Has to get healed up by the Mikhail's Crucible. And now Clearlove gets taken down for a double kill that comes out from Mystic. And Team W have broken the base once again, pushing on for Deft. He's low. Mystic gets the triple kill. Looking for even more as Mouse tries to hop, skip, and jump away, but it's not enough. Flash forward. Mouse is down. Scout is dead. A quadra kill comes out for Mystic. And it's only Mouse that's left alive as Team WE destroy EDG's base, and they will take game number 2 against EDG.
Mystic can't let Mouse have all the glory with the initial quadra kill, so back-to-back games, we've had both massive snowballs one way or the other.
Exactly that. It's been a one-sided affair between these two teams. Game 1, EDG stomped through Team WE. Game number 2, though, it completely flipped around as Team WE pick up the victory. And they're still holding on for Oscar, and they're still fighting for their revenge to try and take down EDG and head to the finals of the LPL.
Of course, the beauty of the best of 5 is that we still have plenty of games left in the series, and I want to start seeing both teams look for adaptation. The thing is they both won in very similar ways, prioritizing heavy wave clear in all of their lanes across the board, and then isolating jungle matchups.
And it really was the chaotic early game that put Team WE so far ahead. It started off great for EDG. They were the ones that were 3-1 up, but their bottom lane had to be very passive, and Sia just gets kill after kill in the mid lane, and then it was this fight that put them even further ahead.
Normally we compliment Scout and how he's really fit in and filled the shoes for Pawn quite respectively for Edward Gaming, but making that massive mistake, he burns both summoners in the initial level 1 skirmish, and then just provides free kills for Condi and CA, and then Clearlove, super arrogant, very overconfident, gives CA another free kill.
And throughout that entire game, it was just too much for EDG to handle. They got a couple of good picks here and there, but that's all they got. They could only get picks, they could never take objectives, and they could never pressure against Team WE. This is one of the times where they actually looked decent, and this was after they lost Baron buff to Team WE as well.
And normally when you highlight Team WE's success, we said this in their profile, it's really looking at 957 and Mystic and Zero. The reason being is because this team doesn't have great 1v1 talent. It's more about, you know, taking B-rate players, putting them together in a 5-man unit, and creating an S-tier team. So they have to compensate for their lane by making up for their 5v5. But if you give the power and the pressure and the responsibility to CA, he's shown repeatedly that he can step up, that he can be that superstar.
And the S-tier team of Team WE really showed up in that second match. We will be going into game number 3 shortly, and we will find out who takes that match in just a bit.